Hello my friends, it is Janome Maker Adam Rateliff, aka Adam So Fun, and today we are going to be talking about applique. Now applique is something I never want to do, but sometimes you have to do. I love an applique quilt, I appreciate an applique quilt, but I don't want to hand stitch things down. Like, that is not me. I have a Janome Continental M8 for a reason. I want to use it. So I am having so much fun learning about this machine as I kind of go through and being able to share some of those things with you. So today we're going to talk about applique, or what I like to call slapliqué, because it makes it fast, it makes it easy. So these are hexes. I cut them out with my AccuQuilt. You can cut them out with scissors. You can cut them out with anything, but we're just going to call it an applique piece. I have two sizes. Really, this is supposed to be the paper. This is supposed to be here. This is supposed to be for English paper piecing, but I'm going to use them for other things. What I did is I fused like a double-sided fusible. This is, I like Steam-A-Seam Light. You can use whatever you want. And I just fused the back. Then I cut out my piece. That makes it easier. So I have my two sizes, got my fabric, and I just fused these on. So I call it slapliqué. I can't remember where I heard that, or I would give them credit, but I slapliquéed my pieces on, and now I want to make it look like, hey, this is fancy appliqué. This isn't just seamed on. So I'm going to come around, and I'm going to be using a blanket stitch, and I'm going to go around the corners. One of the things when you're working with applique and you're doing that blanket stitch is when you get to a corner, sometimes it's not the right stitch, like your next stitch in the sequence might not be the right one that you need for turning that corner, because, you know, let's say I have a triangle piece and I need to turn that corner. If I'm at the very point, and we'll talk about this whenever we actually do it, if I'm at that point, it might not be the right stitch. It might be one of the like inside blanket stitch pieces. It might go all the way over my piece, and then it's not gonna look right. Well, with our Janomes, some of the machines have a corner button. I'll show you that. I'll show you my screen and show you what I'm talking about. So when you turn those corners, you just push the corner button, and it tells the machine, hey, I'm at a corner. We need to start at our beginning sequence, because we want to make sure that we're going to get some stitches before we take that blanket stitch and take that bite out of the fabric. One of the other things with blanket stitches, this was just, I was just testing my, I changed thread, so I was just looking at my stitches. Run a little sample like this. These are different widths, so you can find the width that you're looking for your specific project. You can always change that stitch width. The default is 2, and that's just a little tiny bite. So I think today we'll use 3, just so we can show you, but this was, I started at 2, I went all the way up to 4.5, kind of going through. But what I'm gonna do, we're gonna bring you over, I'm gonna show you the screen. I love that we have our sewing applications button. It's as easy as tapping your sewing applications, going to your quilting, and telling it you're going to applique. Now you do have 6 different stitches to choose from. I'm going to be using the blanket. I'll show you the screen again whenever we get over here. But I'm just so excited about this corner button, because it's something I didn't know about, and now I get to share it with you, and you can go off and applique all your corners to your heart's content. So I'm going to bring you over here, and we're going to talk about the screen, and I'm going to show you the difference between using the corner and not. So we'll see you back here. All right, so here we are. This is basically our home screen, and what I want to do is I want to go to my sewing applications button, and that's a t-shirt. So I'm going to tap the t-shirt, and this is going to bring me to, like, what am I doing? We're going to be sewing applique, so that's part of our quilting, so we're going to hit the quilting, and right here we can see applique, so I'm going to tap that. So you have multiple applique stitches. You have applique, you can see applique 1 and 2, blanket stitch 1 and 2, zigzag 1 and 2. Each of those have an M and an R. M stands for middle of the foot. R stands for right of the foot. I like to use the R, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I actually want to do a blanket stitch 2, because that is the R. And like I said, I'm going to do a 3. So I'm just going to use, I can either hit my plus, or I can turn my knob. Oh, that's the wrong plus. I don't want that. I want it over here. I can turn my knob, other knob, and there we go. We're going to do it at 3. So my stitch width is 3. That's the blankety part. And my straight stitches are going to stay at 1.5. Do I like how that looks? I'm going to increase my stitches to 2. And I'm gonna run a little test piece to see if I like that while we're on the screen. I would always suggest running a test piece. Oh no, I actually want it longer. Let's do 3 and 3 and see how that looks. Maybe a 2.7. Yes, and now I just stitched all over the sample piece I was going to take a picture of. So basically, we're going to be stitching this one down here. I like that gap, and so this is where it started off. We increased it, it got really big. We decreased it, it got smaller. So this is what our stitches are going to look like, those last 3. I would always suggest a test. All right, so here's my piece. These are slapliqued on, so they're fused on. It's just a fusible. Any type of fusible will work. One of the reasons I like this fusible, and I'm gonna peel the back off, is that it stays tacky. So this back is tacky, so I can stick it on my machine. So I can place my pieces where I want and pick them up, and place them and pick them up, and place them and pick them up. It'll stay on there. And then whenever I'm ready to fuse, I fuse it, and then it doesn't go anywhere. So we're gonna do this one first. Oh, let's see, can I get you to the screen? We're gonna tilt up to the screen really quick because I forgot to show you the other thing. So, will this work? We're just gonna do this for a second. So right here, this is your, what's that button called? All right, so this is my applique screen. This button right here is your start over button. So when you start, you're gonna see that it's gonna create a knot. And if you were to hit that at every corner, it's gonna create a knot even though you're not cutting your threads between. Right here, this is your corner, I have to get the official name. All right, we moved you. Oh, sorry. All right, I moved you over too fast because I forgot to show you one thing. So we're gonna bring you over to back to our screen. Let's see if I can do this. And here we go. So this right here is your start over key. So when you hit that, every time you start stitching, it's gonna create a knot. It's gonna do a little knot in there. You could use that at every corner if you wanted to, but now you're creating knots every time you turn. Now this is your cornering key. So that cornering key is gonna change this icon. Watch when I touch it. And see how you have a corner now? So when you have it in the cornering function with this corner yellow, that is telling the machine to restart the sequence, but not to create that knot. So we're gonna do one with the knot, we're gonna do one without the knot, so you can see the difference in how it stitches. And personally, I like the corner. I leave it like this. I'm gonna turn that off. I am gonna put my hover on. That's gonna make it easier for me to pivot this fabric around as we go. So now let's go back to our needle. All right, so here we are. Here are my pieces. They have been fused. What I like about this fusible, and I peeled the back off of this one, is this one stays a little tacky. So I could actually just stick it right there and it would stay there until I fuse it. I can put it onto my fabric and say, ooh, I don't like the way that looks. I can move it, and then it is adhered once you actually fuse it with your iron. So that's why I like this fusible. All of them work. I'm using my F foot, and there's a little groove. Let me see if I can get my stiletto and not let the camera get all not have it zoom out onto just this. So there's a little groove in this foot. This is actually where the needle's gonna come down. So I'm gonna slide and I'm gonna put the edge of my fabric right next to this groove. It's gonna give me the perfect stitch every time. Personally, I like to start at a corner. So we're gonna do the small one first. Let's see. I will usually bring that first stitch down myself. I'm using my hand on the flywheel, and there we go. And it looks good, so I'm just gonna hit needle down. And this is where I can start to stitch. Let me get my foot pedal. So did you see how it took those stitches in place when it started? We'll see it again in a second. So I'm gonna go, it's gonna stitch. Now, this is where I'm gonna come back. This is where I would usually pivot, so I'm gonna pivot. I'm not hitting any buttons because I'm gonna do half of this normal and then I'm gonna do half of it resetting. It just so happened that that was an okay stitch in the sequence. Oops, there we go. Pivot. This is where I would pivot. Oh, I need one more stitch. And this so happens that my next stitch is gonna come in. So let's watch. So that's where the cornering key is gonna come in. It's not gonna ever take that first stitch in. So I'm gonna hit my start over button. So that was where the corner, but I don't have the corner on. So I'm gonna put my needle up. I hit the start over button. I'm gonna put my foot back down. So watch, it's gonna take some stitches in place to make our knot. And then it starts stitching. And I'm doing this in white so you can see it. Dun, dun, dun. And now I would pivot. I'm gonna hit the start over. And again, it's gonna take some stitches in place to make the knot. So you're getting all these extra stitches with the start over button. I love the start open button in some applications, but in this one, it just isn't the best bet. We'll pivot and I'm gonna hit start over one more time. And you're gonna see it take some stitches. And we'll get to the end of this one and cut it and look at it. Cut. Oh, that's too close. There we go. So when we're here, you can see like there's just some weird gaps. Like this is that one, it took that first stitch really like right at the beginning. Here, I'll use my stiletto to point. So this one took that stitch at the very beginning, so you got this weird angle. And really, this one took it at the end, and that's okay. I'm not perfect, but whatever. This one also took it at the end. But if I were able to start here and stitch all the way here, and say that took it at the end, and hit a button, so it would start back at this same sequence, because all of these are the same size, right? So start back at the same sequence. Almost all the edges should look really similar because you're starting in the same place. So I'm gonna go back to my screen and I'm gonna hit the corner button, the one I showed you a second ago. Make sure my thread is there. Now I'm gonna start at the corner just like I did with this one. I'm gonna needle down, or put my foot down, hand drop my needle so I know it's exactly where I want it to go. There we are. And, all right, so off to the races we go. It's gonna do the tie off because we're just starting, so it has to do the tie off for me. And yes, this is a bigger one, but that's fine. There's both hexies. And we're gonna go so I'm gonna go one more stitch. There we go. Pivot. I'm gonna hit my cornering restart button. And now you're gonna see it's gonna take some stitches before it starts going in. 1, 2, 3, in. And so that's our sequence. 1, 2, 3, in. 1, 2, 3, in. 1, 2, 3, in. 1, 2, 3, in. And we can go one extra. That's the same thing we did a second ago. Pivot. corner button. And so now we're going to take 3 stitches. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 in, 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 and we'll pivot. We need that extra one in there. There we go. Cornering button, and 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3. That one was weird, but that's fine. We're going to hit our cornering button. 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 in. And I count like this when I'm going, so I know where that sequence is going. And I know what stitch is coming next. Cut. And now, by using that cornering feature, every side looks almost exactly the same. The back has the knot at the beginning and a random thread that I caught. Has the knot at the beginning, but there's no extra knots. We're over here. It has the knot at the beginning, and then there's a knot here, there's a knot here. So there's knots all around here every time we hit that restart button. The backs actually look pretty good, but I love that every side looks almost exactly the same. This makes me want to make something with hexes. I actually learned about this application when I was working on some star blocks, because you really need to have these corners like perfect. So if you can see, I would get to the corner and I was stitching, you know, white thread or cream thread on a navy background. I wanted to make sure everything was hidden. And this made me feel like I was the best appliquer in the world. So you can be the best appliquer in the world by just using the tools that are on your machines. So look for that cornering button in your applique. I was so amazed. I was texting friends like, oh my gosh, look, I'm an appliquer. All the sides look exactly the same because every time I cornered, I hit the corner pivot button. So that is applique or slapliqué with your Janomes using the applique cornering key. All right, everyone. So that was what I call slapliqué on my Janome Continental M8. That is using the corner start key in your applique features. It makes applique so easy. There's no thinking. Count along with your stitch. 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 in. If you're on social media, remember to go follow Janome Sewing Machines on Facebook. You can follow Janome America on Instagram, and go follow Janome on YouTube, where there's a lot of other videos that teach you how to use a lot of the different functions of the machines. My fellow makers are so creative and so wonderful, and I'm lucky to be a part of the program. You can also follow me. I'm Adam So Fun with an SEW on Facebook and Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel in case you have a long arm. If you have a Janome long arm, I am very good with Pro Stitcher, and I can teach you how to do that. So go follow there. And thank you for joining me. And until next time, we'll see you in the next one. And I always say, Adam So Fun always says, at the end of the day, it's just quilting. We want to have a good time. So get out there and have a good time. Bye, everybody.